Welcome to In the Kitchen with Randy. Today we were at the market and I found some wonderful choice beef short ribs. And I just want to kind of show them to you a little bit. Look at the beautiful meat that's on there. Got a little bit of layer of fat there. This is going to be fantastic. This is going to be a great meal. So let's get started. And when it comes to good beef, I don't put a lot of seasoning on them. I like to let the meat speak for itself. So all I ever use on this is kosher salt and fresh cracked black pepper. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to put a nice coating of kosher salt on all these. And we're going to make sure we cover every bit of it, even the ends. And again, I think it's important to use, I like to use kosher salt because it's a bigger grain salt. You get a little bit better flavor out of it, in my opinion. So that is why I use it. And then we're going to do the same thing with our cracked black pepper. Use the freshest pepper that you can. It has more flavor to it. The oils haven't dried up yet, so that you'll get a lot better out of it. We're going to put a nice coating on all these, but you got to remember, season every layer of your food. Season it now when you begin, and in the end it'll taste great. So now the way we're going to prepare these, we're going to do what is called sous vide, which is a French water bath. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these into a bag and I'm going to vacuum pack them, and then we're going to put them into a sous vide. And they're going to go into a sous vide and they're going to be in there for a total of 72 hours. So now we're going to go ahead, we're going to put these in our sous vide. We're going to leave a bit here. They're going to sit in there for a total of 72 hours. And when they come out, they're going to be beautifully cooked. We'll see you in 72 hours. Tonight we're going to do a side dish that was requested by one of my subscribers, and it's called Fondant Potatoes. This was a French dish and it's done with butter, and normally it's done with thyme. I don't have any fresh thyme tonight, so I'm going to use rosemary, so make it just a little bit different. But what we're doing is we're just going to take a couple of russet potatoes, and I've already peeled these potatoes, and all we're going to do now is go ahead and just cut them and get them ready. So what we're going to do is just basically I'm going to square off the end of them a little bit, and I'm going to cut them at about 1.5 inches thick. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take these, we're going to put them in some cold water, and we're going to let them soak. Going to go ahead and we'll cut the other one. Now these scraps, we don't throw scraps away. They can go into mashed potatoes. You can even freeze them. And when you get ready to use them, just throw them into the boiling water and they'll be ready to go in no time. So our potatoes have soaked in some cold water for about a half hour or so to get rid of some of that starch. And we're going to put a couple tablespoons of grapeseed oil in here. The reason we're using grapeseed is because we want it to have a high heat. And grapeseed does not smoke at high heat. It has a very high smoking point. So while that's coming up to temp, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to season our potatoes. We're going to season them with a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper. All right, our oil is coming up to temp, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to start cooking our potatoes. Now while those are cooking on that side, we're going to go ahead and we're going to season the top side of them. A little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. We want to put a nice crust on these. I have preheated the oven to about 425 degrees. We want to get that nice beautiful crust up on top. We're getting a nice crust on that bottom. So now what we're going to do, we're going to add in some butter. We'll put in about 3 tablespoons of butter here. I'm going to throw in some rosemary. Let that butter melt. And now we're going to add in about 3/4 cup of chicken stock. And now we're going to put them in the oven. Remember, that's a 425 degree oven. They're going to be in there for about 30 to 40 minutes until they're fork tender. So now we're going to continue working with our short ribs. It's been 72 hours. They've been in the sous vide at about 130 degrees for all that time. Just kind of taking it easy. So let's go ahead and get them out. There they are. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful ribs. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead, we're going to open up the package. I'm going to put the ribs on the cutting board, but I'm going to save all of that beautiful broth that's in there, all that juice. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to pour that off first. And what we're going to do with all that is we're going to make a wonderful sauce to go over the top of these ribs. I'll get every bit of that sauce that I can. You can see our ribs are just absolutely gorgeous. Nice and pink on the inside, but I'm going to tell you they're absolutely tender. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to dry them off with some paper towel. We're going to re-season them, and we want to make sure that we get a good crust on them. One of the things with sous vide, when you pull them out of the sous vide pack, if you don't dry them off good, it's very, very difficult to get them to crust up. So now we're going to go ahead, we're going to re-season these. If you remember, all we did was a little salt and pepper. And so that's all we're going to do is just a little bit of salt and pepper, just to kind of coat them again. Make sure you get all the surfaces. Now I don't know if you can notice this or not, but we have two ribs here that are really nice and thick, and then we have one that's a little bit thinner. And the one that's thinner is cooked to the same temperature, the same doneness as the ones that are thicker. That's what's great about sous vide cooking, is that it cooks it to the temperature that you want it to and no further. Doesn't matter how thick or thin it is. All a matter of time. Now I'm setting these in this pan. I have oiled the pan, and I'm making sure that the fat side is up on these. And they're going to go into our 425 degree oven for about 10 minutes. The ribs are in the oven right now, and they're browning up nicely. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to make a sauce for them. All that juice that we saved, we're going to go ahead and put that on our burner. To that, we're going to add a couple tablespoons of chopped shallots, a couple teaspoons of garlic, chopped garlic, we're going to add in 2 teaspoons of whole grain mustard. Use your favorite whole grain mustard. And we're going to let that cook for a few moments. Now we're going to add in about a half a cup of Cabernet. And we're going to add in half a cup of beef broth. We're going to bring that all up to a boil and turn it down to a simmer, actually to a light boil. And we're going to let that cook. We're going to let it reduce. So now we've been cooking our sauce down, letting it simmer here. We've reduced it down to about half. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to strain it. And to it, we're going to add about 1.5 tablespoons of butter. That'll just mellow out that sauce, give it a nice rich flavor. Now we have a beautiful Cabernet sauce. Let's get our meat and let's get it plated.